Right now, there are over 500,000 unfilled construction jobs in America. Just think about that for a second.
It's a staggering number.
It really is. 500,000 open roles that simply cannot be filled because, well, the bodies just aren't there.
Yeah.
And it actually gets worse.
Oh, yeah. Much worse.
Because the average age of the workers you do have is sitting at 42.5 years old. They are creeping closer to retirement every single day. So if you are running a construction business and you need to hire right now, you aren't just facing a tough market. You are basically walking into a burning building.
You really are. It is a literal demographic time bomb.
Right.
The current workforce is aging out, significantly faster than it could be replaced.
Right.
And if we look at the standard operating procedure for most construction business owners, like realizing you need capacity, putting out a job listing, and just trying to poach someone, it's completely shattered.
Yeah, it just doesn't work anymore.
Exactly. You're fighting over this incredibly shrinking pool of, frankly, very expensive talent.
Trying to hire from the open market right now is essentially like bidding in a silent auction where everyone else in the room is a billionaire.
That's a great way to put it.
You just cannot win. But, and here's the mission for today's deep dive, we are going to explore a highly lucrative, entirely different strategy to solve this.
A much smarter strategy.
Yes! Smart contractors are completely bypassing this hiring nightmare by building their own workforce pipeline from scratch. And the kicker, the federal government is actually offering massive financial incentives to help you do it.
Which is wild. But we really have to understand the sheer scale of the financial drain happening on the open market first.
Oh, for sure. Set the baseline for us.
So if you are a contractor desperately trying to fill a role right now, you're looking at market hires that cost anywhere between $80,000 and $100,000.
Just to get someone in the door.
Exactly. And because the market is so incredibly tight, those expensive hires have almost zero loyalty. I mean, the moment a competitor down the road offers them, say, $2 more an hour,
they're gone.
They are gone. It is a brutal, entirely unsustainable cycle for long-term growth.
Which brings us to the counter trend. And we can see exactly where the smart money is moving right now, thanks to Smart Business Automator's Market Intelligence Report.
The numbers in there are really telling.
They are, because while everyone else is fighting over that shrinking pool, a quiet boom is happening in apprenticeships. According to the data for 2025, there are 480,399 construction apprentices currently in training.
That's a massive jump.
It's a 28% increase over just 5 years. That brings the total number of apprentices nationally to around 680,000.
And, it represents a fundamental shift in business mindset. The most successful forward-thinking construction companies are transitioning away from buying talent.
Right, because the store is empty.
Exactly. They realize the open market is broken. So instead, they're moving toward manufacturing their own talent.
Manufacturing talent. I love that. So instead of fighting over incredibly expensive bottled water in the middle of a desert, building an apprenticeship program is like digging your own well.
That's exactly it.
You are creating the resource yourself.
Yeah.
But let's get into the hard numbers here, because I really want to know what this manufacturing process actually looks like on paper.
Sure.
Is it genuinely a sound financial investment for the business owner?
Let's break down the mechanics. We are talking specifically about Department of Labor or DOL registered programs.
Okay.
So these aren't informal, shadow my foreman for a week setups. These are rigorous, typically 4-year programs that combine hands-on, on-the-job training with formal classroom instruction.
Right. And from day one, these apprentices are paid employees, right?
Yes, they are earning while they are learning. The entry salaries for these apprentices start at around $35,000.
Okay, that's super accessible.
Very. And as they progress through that 4-year pipeline and hit journeyman status, they jump up to earning between $65,000 and $105,000, depending on the trade.
Right, like electricians, for instance. They sit at the highest end of that spectrum, pulling in $95,000 to $105,000 once fully trained.
Exactly. And at the end of it, they walk away with a nationally recognized credential. It provides a highly structured path to a lucrative career.
Which is exactly what a younger demographic is looking for right now, right? Stability without the crushing weight of traditional college debt.
Bingo.
Okay, but wait. I have to push back here for a second. Looking at the broader industry data, these apprenticeship programs generally have a 50 to 60% completion rate.
Right, that is the industry average.
So if a business owner is paying $10,000 to $15,000 a year just to train someone, and there's basically a coin flip chance that the 18 or 19-year-old actually finishes the 4 years, isn't that a massive financial risk?
It sounds like it, yeah.
I mean, you're sinking tens of thousands of dollars into someone who might just decide, construction isn't for them and just walk away.
That is the exact hesitation that keeps a lot of contractors stuck in the old way of hiring.
Yeah.
But you have to frame the return on investment correctly here.
Okay, how so?
Yes, you are spending $10,000 to $15,000 a year on training. But compare that against the alternative spending $80,000 to $100,000 on a market hire who has zero allegiance to your company and, like we said, might leave in 6 months anyway.
That's a fair point. You're bleeding money either way, but one has a potential upside.
Precisely. And here is the real metric that changes the math regarding that completion rate. For the 50 to 60% who do complete your program, the retention rate at their training employer is over 80%.
Wait, really? Or over 80% retention?
Yeah.
That's almost unheard of in this current market.
It is, because employer-trained workers exhibit incredibly high loyalty. You really have to think about the psychology of it.
Right, they feel indebted to you.
Exactly. You aren't just teaching them how to swing a hammer or wire a panel. You are teaching them your company's way of doing things. You gave them their start when they knew nothing. You invested in them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That psychological bond, that deep-seated loyalty, it is something you simply cannot buy on the open market, no matter how high of a salary you offer.
So the ROI isn't just saving money on the initial entry-level salary. It's the long-term stability of your workforce. You're building a crew that actually wants to stay with you.
Exactly.
Okay, the financial logic holds up, but why is this strategy exploding right now? Why are we seeing this massive 28% spike over the last 5 years?
Oh, this is the best part.
The answer lies in some newly available, frankly absurd financial subsidies, right?
Yes, this is where the landscape has completely transformed. The federal government has finally recognized the severity of this demographic time bomb, and they are aggressively subsidizing the solution.
Aggressively is the right word.
The biggest game changer here is the Federal Inflation Reduction Act, or the IRA.
Let's talk about the IRA, because when I saw this, it blew my mind. The IRA offers a 5x prevailing wage multiplier for registered apprentices on qualifying projects.
It's math.
Let me just repeat that, a 5x multiplier. But let me pause you there. When we say prevailing wage, for the listener who maybe doesn't bid on massive federal contracts every day, what exactly does that mean?
Great question. So prevailing wage is essentially the baseline hourly rate and benefits package set by the Department of Labor for a specific trade in a specific geographic area.
Okay, so it varies by location.
Right. It's usually aligned with union rates to ensure fair pay on government-funded projects. Now, under the IRA, if you are working on qualifying clean energy or infrastructure projects, and you meet their specific requirements for using registered apprentices.
Your base tax credits and deductions multiply by 5.
Exactly. Your base tax credits just explode.
So because of this multiplier, your HR pipeline is no longer just an operational expense. It actually transforms into a direct revenue-generating tax strategy.
It completely flips the script. I mean, it can literally be the difference between a project being moderately profitable and wildly lucrative.
And it doesn't even stop at the IRA. The Department of Labor is actively throwing money at this issue.
They really are.
They are currently offering $145 million in grants, specifically to expand apprenticeship programs. Then you have state-level incentives piling on top of that.
Right. The states are getting involved, too.
Louisiana has a specific tax credit. Texas is putting $6 million into the pot. New Jersey has a $1.5 million incentive program. Plus, you can utilize the GI Bill to help fund veteran apprentices.
Which is amazing because that brings incredibly disciplined, hardworking individuals right into your pipeline.
Exactly.
When you stack that 5x IRA multiplier, the federal grants, the state tax credits, and the GI Bill, the government is practically begging contractors to build these programs. They are heavily subsidizing your business's growth.
But I'm going to play devil's advocate again here.
Go for it.
With all these federal and state grants, the IRA compliance, the DOL registration, isn't tracking all that red tape a total nightmare? Most contractors I know got into the business to build things, not to become full-time compliance officers for the federal government.
It is a totally valid concern, and honestly, it's the exact friction point that trips people up. But before we solve that administrative bottleneck, we need to look at the actual physical playbook.
Right, how to actually do it.
Yeah. If you are listening to this right now and want to launch a program tomorrow to capture these incentives, how do you navigate the logistics?
Let's get into the step-by-step. First, we have to talk about the divide in the industry, because you have two main pathways when you set this up.
Correct.
You have the ABC model, which is the Associated Builders and Contractors, and you have the Union J ATCs, which stands for Joint Apprenticeship and Training Committees.
It's vital to understand the mechanical difference between the two.
Break that down for us.
So the ABC model is open shop and competency-based. What this means on a day-to-day level is that an apprentice advances based on demonstrating specific skills.
Right.
If an apprentice can prove they know how to perfectly rough in a plumbing system after 3 months, they move forward, regardless of how long it took them to learn it.
Got it. And the union GATCs, on the other hand, are strictly time-based. You have to put in a highly specific number of hours, let's say 8,000 hours of on-the-job training, to advance to journeyman status.
Exactly. It guarantees a standardized level of exposure to every possible situation.
And we should note, both of these pathways produce highly qualified, exceptional workers. The choice between ABC and union purely depends on your specific business model and how your company operates.
Absolutely. There is no right or wrong answer there, just what aligns with your company's culture.
Okay, so once you've chosen your pathway, there are 5 core steps to actually starting the program. Step 1 is registering with the Department of Labor,
which is the main bureaucratic hurdle, and you should expect it to take anywhere from 1 to 3 months to get fully approved.
Step 2 is defining the trade and the curriculum. You need to map out exactly what these apprentices are going to learn over the next 4 years.
Right. And step 3 is finding an instruction provider. Remember, this requires formal classroom instruction, but you do not have to build a school yourself.
Well, thank goodness.
Yeah. You just partner with local community colleges, vocational schools, or trade associations to handle all the classroom theory.
Step 4 is hiring. And the recommendation here is to hire just 2 to 3 apprentices.
Yes.
Okay, I have to jump in on step 4. You say just hire 2 or 3. But if I'm a contractor drowning in work, babysitting 2 entirely green 18-year-olds sounds like a massive drag on my site foreman.
It does sound like a lot of work.
How is that actually accessible? Doesn't it just slow the whole job site down?
That is a common fear, but keeping it to just 2 or 3 is exactly how you mitigate that drag. You don't need to build a massive, sprawling corporate academy. You don't dump 30 untrained kids onto a job site on day 1.
Right, that would be a disaster.
By starting with just 2 or 3, you are proving the concept within your own company. You test the waters, you see how your foremen handle the mentorship, you refine your internal processes, and you scale up slowly from there without derailing your current projects.
That makes a lot of sense. Which leads right into step 5. Pair them with mentors. You take your experienced journeymen, your veterans who are maybe getting close to that 42.5 average age or older, and you pair them up with the new kids.
Exactly. They pass down the institutional knowledge.
Okay. So you've got your 2 or 3 apprentices, you're registered with the DOL, and you are starting to qualify for that 5X IRA multiplier. The pipeline is flowing. But this brings us right back to your earlier point about the red tape.
Right.
Because a major roadblock to adding more apprentices and taking on more of these heavily incentivized projects is the massive increase in administrative burden. How do companies manage this growing workforce and ensure they are staying compliant with all these grants without just turning around and hiring an army of middle managers?
It's a huge problem if you try to do it manually.
Right. Because if you have to hire 5 expensive administrative staff just to track the paperwork for 10 apprentices, your ROI completely evaporates.
This is where we have to look at how technology is completely solving the compliance and scaling bottleneck. And this brings us back to Smart Business Automator.
Yes, and for a quick background for the listener, Smart Business Automator is an AI platform built specifically for construction companies. So to solve that worry about drowning in red tape, this platform actively tracks the incentive eligibility and the certification status for your workforce automatically.
If you think about scaling your business, you quickly realize that managing a modern construction company isn't just about bodies on the ground. It is fundamentally about information flow.
Exactly.
As you add apprentices and take on more complex projects to utilize these tax credits, the volume of data daily logs, RFIs, submittals, permits grows exponentially.
Okay, here's how I picture it. If these new apprentices are the fresh muscles of your company, an AI platform is the central nervous system.
Oh, I like that.
You can't just slap on more muscle without a nervous system to coordinate it, or you'll just trip over your own feet. You need the brain to tell the muscle what to do, when to do it, and to keep track of it all.
That analogy hits the nail on the head. The platform acts as an AI project assistant that uses natural language smart search. So instead of a project manager spending 3 hours digging through incredibly disorganized digital folders to find a specific permit to prove DOL compliance.
Which we've all done.
Right. They just ask the system in plain English, and it retrieves the exact document instantly.
And it handles smart document organization. It automatically tags photos, plans, and permits. It does daily log and meeting summaries, extracting the key action items so your experienced managers aren't wasting hours typing up recaps.
Yes, they can actually spend their time on the job site mentoring those new apprentices.
But we have to talk about how this AI actually works, because it's not just a fancy filing cabinet. Take RFIs, for example.
Right. Requests for information.
Normally, an RFI is so tedious. A project manager spends hours digging through past emails and old blueprints to answer a technical question from the field. But this AI provides RFI assistance using historical context.
Which is huge.
It is, meaning it actually reads how you solved a similar problem on a job site 2 years ago and drafts the response for you based on your company's own history.
And that ties perfectly into its document intelligence capabilities. The AI extracts crucial details from specs and drawings, which directly protects your bottom line during scaling.
Because mistakes are expensive.
Incredibly expensive. When you are managing a greener workforce like these new apprentices, the risk of missing a highly specific spec goes way up. The AI acts as a safeguard. It cross-checks the specs before the work is done, catching gaps early before they become an incredibly expensive tear-out.
It also gives leadership schedule, risk detection, budget and variance insights, and change order impact analysis. And here's a huge piece for the back office. It features custom AI workflows and API integrations with your existing ERP systems.
That is a lifesaver for the accounting team.
For sure. For those who aren't tech nerds, an ERP system is essentially the financial software you already use to run your business operations. Because the AI talks directly to that software, there is no double data entry. You are streamlining the administrative side so heavily that the cost of managing the apprenticeship program becomes negligible compared to the massive tax value it brings in.
It ensures that project managers can oversee these new crews and maintain project health monitoring without being completely buried in manual coordination.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've covered a ton of ground today. We looked at the grim reality of the 500,000 unfilled jobs and the 42.5 average age.
The burning building.
Yes. We explored the financial logic of manufacturing your own talent through a registered apprenticeship. We broke down those massive federal and state incentives, especially that 5x IRA multiplier that turns HR into a tax strategy. And we looked at how AI systems act as the central nervous system to scale that fresh muscle without drowning in paperwork.
And as we wrap up, this leaves us with something entirely new to mull over. We've talked about how private construction companies are being heavily subsidized to build these in-house training academies.
Right.
If this trend continues to accelerate, what happens to the traditional vocational schools and community colleges? Are we looking at a future where private construction companies completely replace the traditional education system for the trades?
Wow.
It is a fascinating shift in who controls the future of education in this country.
That is a wild thought to leave on. The entire landscape of construction hiring and training has permanently changed. The tools to build and manage this pipeline, to dig your own well, are available to you right now.
It's time to stop buying and start building.
If you know a contractor who is struggling to hire and dealing with this massive labor shortage, send them this deep dive. It could completely change how they scale their business this year. Hit follow on whatever app you're listening on so you don't miss tomorrow's intel. And be sure to visit smartbusinessautomator.com to explore the platform we discussed today. Keep building, and we'll see you next time.